Hey folks, welcome back. Karshel here. I appreciate you rejoining me for our permadeath run. Let's get rolling on episode 18.
But if nothing else, because of our exosuit upgrade, we're increasing our survivability just a little bit. Again, just habitation buildings, so, 5 or 6 nanites, and that's not worth my time at the moment. The one real downside about doing this is that any potential animal scanning I am missing out on too. So that could make a difference, but because a couple hundred nanites is most certainly worth spending the time for at this point. Once you actually learn all the patterns, then it becomes less relevant, but we are a long way from that happening. Now, is that on this planet or is that off this planet? That's off the planet. But it is something that I need. That's on the planet. That's the grave I was at. Okay. Well, I think I'm going to jump off planet and go to that manufacturing facility. Because that's where you find formulas, and that's important. And it's a lot less aimless than just cruising around like this hoping to find something that's worth our attention. Wait a minute, what's that one? Okay, that's not that far. We'll go to there. And we have ships in motion. So none of those are what we're looking for, because I want Rex. Okay, so now if another ship shows up on radar, it might be a downed one. Oh, and another trade depot. Well, I'm going to pop in, hopefully close enough to actually remove the tag so that it knows I know where this one is. But I'm not actually going to land because we've seen what we need to see here. And then I'm going to head for that manufacturing facility. Yeah, sure I am, right after I check this one. Looks like just some habitation buildings. Okay. Get me out of here before I keep doing this. And let's roll. Now keep in mind, if you're a newer player on this, with a distance of this far away, if a hostile scan starts hitting you, you're going to have to deal with that. If it's 30 seconds or less, you can generally blow it off and just get through without worrying about it. Anything longer than that, they're going to have time to impede your progress, so to speak. Let's see. Good. I've got plenty of fuel to make sure I make it the whole way. I hate when I run out partway through. Now, once I get my fighter, I will be less worried about that. Unless, of course, I get jumped by 5 or 6 at a time. Then it could be a problem. And in a permadeath run, that can bring things to a premature end. There we go. See, now we're being scanned, but it's plenty of time to get to a planet. Now, just so I don't have to deal with that in the future, I am popping back out of the atmosphere, so that their scan completes, and right when it's done, I will drop back into the atmosphere and their scan will fail. Come on. Continue your scan. I gotta get far enough away from the planet. There it goes again. And now we drop back into the atmosphere and it's gone. So we dumped aggro. Now we will go back over to our factory. Screw it. That's easier to turn if I slow down. And I don't recall if we have been to this planet. I kind of think we have not. Okay, so we don't have any specific information on this one. Which means it could be a hostile environment. It could have sentinel issues. Hopefully not. I think if it does, that I can take off again. Okay, so that's not critical. Now, you may have noticed that the time of arrival has increased, and that's because we dropped into the atmosphere and got slower. That's rather interesting. Not many rocks in this area, but that one was sure in the way. Kind of a flat planet. At least from this altitude. Probably if you're on the ground, it wouldn't necessarily feel that flat. Now, if this is what I suspect, then it's going to be armed and monitored by sentinels, so we're going to have to blow the doors off before we ever land. And part of me is considering actually killing the sentinels from the ship as well, but I'm not sure how well that would work. It's harder to see them to fire than it is to fire at a door. And yes, you can fly into a mountain. And yes, you will take damage. So far, I have not been in a situation where I took damage that was critical to the ship, or even all that painful. But you used to not even be able to do a low and slow flight like that. Whoops, wait a minute. I don't want to land. I want to blow the doors off this thing. Okay. And it almost looks like there's a storm in progress too. So, let's move out here a little bit. And now turn back. God, this thing is a boat. Yes, I know. I'm flying into things. Come on, guns. Thank you. Does that mean the door's down? Sentinel searching, so we will behave for a little bit and allow them to reset. Yep, looks like the door's down. I'm thinking there's a storm outside because this visibility is garbage. I do look forward to having my weapons upgraded sufficiently that I can just jump out and deal with them rather than doing this. It's not an exploit because they know about it in the programming code, but it doesn't feel like that's the way it should be handled. Okay, so how's the weather? Ice storms, okay. So if you had a decent environment suit, this wouldn't necessarily be a bad planet. Ah, okay. If you heard that, extreme hazard planet, this is where your milestone count for extreme environments would start to go up. If you hang out here. Now, unless they have changed it, I can sit here in this building and hang out. And the milestone would start counting for the achievement. So you don't actually have to be out in the weather. In fact, one of the easiest ways to get that milestone maximized, if you chose, is to build a base on this kind of world. And whenever you are in your base, it would be counting toward time. Okay, fragmented file has frozen systems. We are going to attempt to... Yeah, we can't see any other words. I'm going to attempt a file reconstruction, and hopefully that will get me a piece of tech. Thermic condensate. Okay, sulfurine, which I think I've seen once or twice, and condensed carbon. Corvex standing increase. Now, while I'm thinking about it, I want to see... Okay, once we could construct that, it would be 50,000 units each to sell if we chose to do so, which isn't terrible. Compared to most things that we can make, it would be worth far more. Although I guess the fuel's pretty good. Yeah, so at this point we would actually be able to make more from selling fuel, and picking up dihydrogen and tritium is relatively cheap, relatively easy to do. I've made myself curious now. It's like, what's the rest of it worth selling? Okay. So, that's all that we basically came here for. Anything out here we have not scanned? Everything out here we have not scanned. So might as well pick up a little bit of profit while we're here. I know it's falling. I know. Critical exposure in 13. So, pop back inside, allow our suit to recharge. Just that easy. Now, if you notice in the lower right, it keeps coming up with the warning about the extreme planet. It says highly valuable materials are here. Well, that may be true, but you've got to be able to be equipped to go out and find them. Might as well grab the save point while I'm here. Because every little bit helps. Go away, Mr. Sandwell. Okay, so what's it got me on as a mission? Building the neural stimulator. So condensed carbon. I did not see any out there. And that, if I'm not mistaken, he needed me to gather copyright. Gather copyright. Okay. Whoops. Now, what are my other missions? Assemble fleets and begin expeditions. So, I do have a mission that has come back. I need to run there. And what did you want me to grab? That mission wants pyrite. Kill creatures on the planet's surface. How many? 11. Yeah, I'm not much of a killer, am I? Creature extermination. See, I've doubled up on those, so if I do 14 creatures, I will have both of them accomplished. And what's this one want me to collect? Chromatic metal. Yeah, that I may end up spending. Valuable items sought. Pyrite. So I have multiple collections of pyrite that I need to do. Need to gather copyright. Need to get more chromatic metal. And I need to kill things. Okay, I'm not seeing anything out here I have not scanned already. What about that big tree? Okay. Yep, I know it is. We'll get the heck out of here. We accomplished what we came for, which was to get that blueprint. We'll cruise a little bit and look at what else is around. Ooh. That's a drop pod, which is exosuit upgrades. And when I say upgrades, in that case, I mean additional slots that you can purchase. Because of the extreme environment and the lack of a landing space, I am not going to drop down there. Because I have to go out and gather more fuel stuff in this kind of an environment, and that puts myself at unnecessary risk. With this change, and the fact that they have put the ability to get exosuit upgrades within space stations, it kind of made some of the drop pods less important. It used to be you'd go out hunting for those in order to get your suit upgrades where you wanted them to be. But that means a lot less now. Okay. What are you? Are you larval cores? You look like you might just be. Now, is there a landing spot here? I don't think there was. That's kind of a bummer. Because the same rule would apply. I would have to land with the ability to take off again. And I don't want to have to go out and farm in this environment. But while I'm thinking about it, I am going to upload the fauna complete. 6 species? Yeah, I didn't see a thing down there so far. But it's definitely an unfriendly planet. I'm actually going to head out of here.
And thank you for joining me on this run, folks. We are going to call it, looking at the time. I look forward to any comments you might have. Feel free to share. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. I'll look forward to seeing you on the next run. Karshel out.